And what about Crazy Pat Holney, the Chicago Hounds fan?
Did you ever hear of Vince McMahon?
That's me!
This is the Rugby Odds, where an unlikely pundit panel of a wordsmith, a WWE legend, a rugby star, and a supermodel scour the globe, seeking best bets and bad behavior. Are you not entertained? Thank you. And it might be a couple of 3-4 weeks before we see each other again because this is the last show of season 4. That's right, season 4. We have season 5 beckoning. But in the meantime, this should be a good show. We have in the sponsor opportunity green room, WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate John Bradshaw Layfield, King Gift Egbelu, but we'll also have Steve the Lizard Lewis stepping in. And if you look at the Your Company name here slate, there's a lot of good stuff on it. And also, once again, the Irish rugby legend George Hook will be calling in. So let's get to it. Guys, I don't want to waste any more of your time. So I'm not going to go into the wooden spoon thing. We all know who got that. We had a good week with betting. Just let's get to the observations because I know that you two missed out on the opportunity to talk about the Olympics. And Gift, I know that you are seething and ready to talk about the Olympics.
Yeah, you know why you know that? Because we've already filmed this segment 3 times already.
Or maybe I just am in...
No, maybe we've already filmed this. You go, oh, let's do that over again.
Gift, go ahead.
No. All right. The bronze medal match that the USA women have just won shows exactly how short-sighted USA Rugby and World Rugby, particularly World Rugby, has been in what they thought is bring the Rugby World Cup to the U.S. and it's going to change the whole U.S. rugby landscape while everybody simultaneously doubts it. But yet, one bronze medal match is probably about to set one of the rugby players, Ilona Maher, as the one millionaire earning rugby player in the USA for the first time. Why? Because in one Olympics, she started to create a following, and in the second Olympics, she confirmed it and got the medal for it, and now she's about to get deal sponsorship. Her name is in the mix, not like in a rugby community mix, not like, oh, what could be for a World Rugby Award. No. In a random thread, anybody talks about her, Ilona Maher's name comes up first and foremost. That is stardom.
Hey, she is such a big star. There's a picture of her on Instagram where Tom Brady comes up and asks her for a selfie.
There you go.
I mean, she became one of the biggest stars in the Olympics. Everybody knows her.
I don't know what specifically you're asking or suggesting.
I'm saying that there should be an absolute focus. This year now, LA 2028, not Rugby World Cup 2031, not 2033. LA 2028 should almost certainly be the focus for USA Rugby and all its programming because that is where it will make all its money. All the Sevens money. We already saw a $4 million investment from the Washington lady, though I'm pretty sure that was kind of putting up beforehand, but the bronze medal just added the stamp. But a $4 million direct public investment, which could lead to others because she has the connections, because she runs the Spirit and the Washington, the Wizards and all that. Like, that's her teams. Those are inevitably commercial. Those are inevitable connections to other corporate interests who now see a platform, not just a rugby sport that needs help or begging or the growth or whatever.
This is how you grow the game. King is 100% right about this. USA can compete in sevens. We can't compete in 15s, and we're never going to be able to compete in 15s. But sevens we can, because you throw in a guy like Perry Baker or a Danny Barrett, it makes such a difference. With a sevens team, we can compete. The women can compete on anything, because you don't have pro sports siphoning away all of the athletes that you don't have in rugby. In rugby, you have that. If a kid has talent, he's going to find some way to make money with that talent. In women's rugby, because you don't have women's sports are not that prevalent, you can do it in women's sports. And sevens is the way to do it with, because you've seen this. This will grow the game. What King is saying is absolutely brilliant.
All right, now we have very little time to hit on the MLR Championship. Give me your take, Gift, on the MLR Championship.
Man, it's good. Congratulations to New England. Congrats on them getting another 12,000 person crowd, as long as it grows a little bit. I don't know how the entertainment factor played in, but it's good that New England did it. I want them to really see if they hype this up past this weekend and hopefully that results in something. But again, back to backs.
Well, they were on
second series
Big
of
Fox,
back-to-backs.
which is a good thing. They weren't. It wasn't FS1. It wasn't FS2. You could just go to your local Fox affiliate, wherever you were, and find the match at 4 p.m. on a Sunday. So that's
what were the
pretty good.
ratings? What are the ratings? Have they trended downward for the last 3 years?
I don't
It's
know.
like the Titanic. The ratings are trending downward like the Titanic the last 3 years. So if you buy the show, which I imagine that they're buying the spot on Fox, you've got one show to be able to do it. You show 12,000 people in a 50,000 seat arena.
28.
28.
Snapdragon
so it's
Stadium.
half full for your championship. Put it in a 10,000 seat arena and sell it out.
I didn't have that take. I didn't. I wasn't crazy about going to Marshmallow during halftime live while you're at home. I thought they should have had more of a halftime show.
Right.
But overall, I thought the production was pretty good. The game was a defensive battle. There was a lot of hitting, a lot of physicality. I don't know what the numbers are on Fox. I think it was free for people to watch, easy for them to watch. And if they could maybe get 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 matches next year on Fox or on a regular affiliate.
They get if they pay for it.
Well, that's the rub, right? They got it.
Look, they're not going to get a TV deal. They lost Toronto and New York last year up before the season, the biggest market in North America, the biggest market in Canada. They lost Austin and LA the season before, so they're not going to get a TV deal. Not when you have a league like that. So if you buy it, you can get the space.
I just want to know, in your opinion, Matt, who's the star that came out of that game? Not necessarily the MVP or the player of the match, but who is the star that you think is worth watching now for next year that came out of this championship match?
That's a very good question. I think we're failing miserably at making these players into stars because they should have been stars going into the match. Right? Not the match shouldn't have created them. The Olympics, following the Olympics especially, makes it even more obvious that we don't have those stars in the men's professional game here in the United States yet, right? Because after what Maher did and after what the women did winning that game in the last minute, Alex scoring that dramatic try, we don't have that in this match. You're right. But what it should have been was a season of creating stars so that everybody knew the stars by the time the playoffs roll around, certainly. And there's a lot of work to do, no doubt. There is a lot of work to do. But I think this championship was a good championship. It was two of the better teams in the league, and we'll get to that in part 3 of this show. I think it's a building block. There's a lot of work to do. I think they're finally starting to see how much work they have to do.
No, they're prepared to lose money if forever. This league's never going to make money, period. You know it's not. Unless they change dramatically, they're not going to make money because there's nothing different about what they're doing.
I agree with you there.
Stars this year. They're not creating stars last year. They're not creating stars going forward. Their production is a high school level production. Their rugby is getting much better, but you can only get so much better when you're paying these guys, a lot of them less than what they can make working at Burger King. So it's going to be tough to ever get stars to do it as long as you're not paying these guys like professional players.
I agree with you on the front where they have to change dramatically. I think they will. And you're right about the pace.
Well, that's why that's so rugby hopeful. You lose to Scotland by 35 points. You go, hey guys, we're right on track. We of course we beat them 6 years ago. They're not bringing the best player. Lost by 35 points. We're right on track, guys. We're bringing it in.
All right. Well, on that note, let's break for commercial and welcome in George and Steve, and you guys will be back for the tail end of the show. We'll be right back.
Need a great price on a new vehicle? Sheehy makes it easy. Easy Price shows you our lowest prices on the Mid-Atlantic's largest selection. Find your best price online or at any of our 31 dealerships.
It's easy at Sheehy. Sheehy.com.
Hey, Carolina Storm, what do you think of John Bradshaw Layfield? JBL sucks!
If you're in New York City and want to watch some great rugby, have some great food, and some great times, go to the world's best rugby pub, the Pig and Whistle on West 36th Street.
And we're back. And once again, we're back with Mr. George Hook and Mr. Stephen Lewis. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Let's get right to it. George, you're at home on a holiday, so we don't want to keep you too long. But Stephen and I had the opportunity last week that you didn't to address the USA Sevens and the Canadian Sevens teams getting bronze and silver respectively What is your take on that, the impact of the Olympic sevens on the rugby universe?
All right. Well, first, for people who might not know, I've been involved in US rugby on and off, and to this very day, for almost 40 years. So I'm not speaking as some sort of European who has no understanding of what happens in US rugby.
Like Steve.
What has happened in that 40 years is we have realized that the US rugby would be incapable of selling water in the Sahara. So we know that. Now, what are they going to do with what has just happened in the last couple of weeks? Even the cynics would agree that the Olympic Games is one of the great events of world sport since 1896 in Athens in Greece. The US women win a medal in sevens rugby, and not only win a medal, which I think is the fact it wouldn't have mattered whether they won a medal or not won a medal, they beat Australia, who many people thought were going to be the gold medalists anyway. Now, if US rugby had a marketing person with a smidgen, that's the Gaelic for a small amount, had a smidgen of marketing nous, this is a phenomenal opportunity on two fronts. On the women's front, it's very important. And on the rugby front, this is probably the greatest achievement by American rugby players, men or women, in my lifetime, or anybody's lifetime. Now, are we going to see it used? And then you add to that Canada's tremendous performance, then we've got a North American story. Are they going to use it? I'm not sure.
Stephen.
Yeah, rip-roaring success for rugby in this Olympics. Attendances, atmosphere, quality of play. But to Georgie's point there, from a North American perspective, and in particular USA, which is what we three are concerned with, it's an opportunity. But what is the plan? How do we capitalize upon it? What comes next? Those are the key questions. You've seen both in Ilona and Maher, sort of individuals break out in terms of social media. You've also seen significant increase in interest from both national press and all across social media, all across sport. So this is the moment to strike. Do we have a plan? How are we going to strike it? You know, that's kind of the key issue. What comes next? In order to sort of exploit this success commercially and in terms of growing the game, right? As we have this runway to the World Cup. From a performance point of view, it's kind of interesting because, you know, as with all sports, they undergo a review after the Olympics. The women's review will probably go a little bit better than the men's review. So, you know, who comes next? What does this time mean? This time now, in the next year or so, is about the next generation, is about working out who's retiring, who's hanging around, who's still got some juice in the engine, and then what does the next 4-year cycle look like? So that's kind of where we are. Two things. One is the commercial opportunity. Secondly is performance-wise, in terms of team-wise and coaches, what happens next.
But without the commercial, you don't have the second half, the future. The future is predicated by the commercial. Now, Rugby 15s is facing its greatest threat in 150 years because of the injury issue, traumatic brain injury issue, the illegal action by almost 300 players against World Rugby for traumatic brain injury, and so on, so on, so on. This is, I believe, for those who can see it and grasp the opportunity, sevens rugby is its greatest moment. Sevens doesn't have the injury issues. It has, in fact, a far greater recognition than 15s. I mean, nobody thinks about the Kazakhstan 15-a-side team. Portugal 7-a-side are immeasurably superior to their 15-a-side team. And so it goes on. And sevens is an Olympic sport. Like, when are we going to grasp this opportunity?
Got to capitalize on it. Stephen, 30 seconds before we move to our next topic.
Which is?
The National Club Sevens.
Ah, right. Well, it's a natural segue, right? So what's the next generation? Who are the players? So one of the bigger weekends in American Sevens is coming up, which is the National Club Championships, both men and women. That is to be held in Madison, Wisconsin. Fantastic venue there, rugby specific, 2 grass fields. Wonderful. However, I'm very intrigued as to what the standard is going to be. I'm coaching Old Blue again of New York, which is one of the top clubs in the country. And in the Northeast, the standard is definitely down. When I look at the women's club situation, that will be impacted by Women's Premier League 15s comp playing through the summer. So I'm expecting the standard to be lower. And this is the sort of thing I'm alluding to, which we have to get together. What is the plan? What is the sort of pathway to discover Club Seven, to discover international sevens players? If you just leave it to Club Sevens and you don't have anything in between, and you don't have structure, you don't have people understanding where they're meant to be playing, coaches where they're meant to be pushing players, that stuff's all going to be fixed. And perhaps this next weekend, Club Sevens in Wisconsin is where people can start talking about it and coming away with a plan.
All right. Well, fellas, we are basically out of time. 15 seconds, George, if you had anything left that you wanted to add.
Well, the greatest nation, the nation that understands rugby more than any other, New Zealand. Already we are seeing in New Zealand a view that their best players should be playing sevens rather than 15s. Now, if the New Zealanders thinking like that, what the hell is America doing?
Stephen.
Yeah, final point for me. I just want to congratulate New England Free Jacks in Major League Rugby. They won the professional 15s version of competition for the second time back to back. Interestingly enough, 2 or 3 of them will be playing with the Jesters in Rugby Town, playing sevens with the Jesters in Rugby Town coming up. So you could do both. You could play both. Both are important. I love 15s. I love sevens. But I love George more.
On that note, I want to thank Mr. Steve Lewis and Mr. George Hook. Thank you, gentlemen. We'll be right back with John and Gift after this. You need your cleats? You need them tomorrow? If you order today by 3 p.m. New York time or noon LA time, they can have them to you tomorrow. Young, old, male, female, if you're playing on turf, if you're playing on grass, if you're playing in the rain, you're playing in the heat, they've got you covered. RugbyNow.com. Go there now. All right, we're back. Guys, the Rugby Championship. I know we made our picks last week, but we're going to revisit our picks this week after what's gone on in the world of Olympics and the MLR. Not that it has any bearing on it, but, see if you guys change your minds. Australia at home versus South Africa. South Africa minus 8.5. New Zealand at home minus 15.5 versus Argentina. Let's go to Australia versus South Africa first. John.
Exactly like I said last week. You yourself said nothing's changed. Nothing's changed. South Africa is still the best team in the world. They've been the best team in the world for the last 20 years. They want to show that. They're coming to Australia. It's not New Zealand, but they're coming to Australia, a traditional power. I think they're going to make an example out of them, and I think they're going to boat race these boys.
Gift.
Yeah, exactly. Coach, I think Joe Schmidt is the guy's name. I forgot. But for Australia, he's literally rebuilding a team that was in rebuilding before. South Africa's about to just have lunch, man. They're about to have lunch. All right. This is going to be a little snack for them at 8.5 points, man. They're just waiting for New Zealand. That's all they're doing.
Yep.
Yeah, Australia's doing some good things, but you're right. They're not going to be
like what?
Well, they're going with the youth movement. They brought in Joe Schmidt, who really was a good Irish coach that George Hook absolutely hated because he was Kiwi coaching Ireland, but he was the guy that was before Andy Farrell at Ireland. And he built Ireland into a very strong team. He didn't take them to the next level because he was kind of one-sided in his offensive game plan, which George said was nil. But with Australia, he could make this a steadier, more consistent team. And young guys tend to listen to this guy, whereas veterans kind of turn him off. So for that reason, I think it's a good move for Australia in the meantime. But you're right.
Those veterans are dumb.
Yeah. South Africa is going to run them out of the park in Australia. Then we have New Zealand at home.
You lied sentence by sentence with that. You made every bit of that up. I called you out about Joe Schmidt, and you just lied every sentence by sentence. You're just making stuff up.
I am not making stuff up.
You are. Yes, you are. I said,
what's so great
about Australia? Oh, it's a youth movement, and they going to go to the next level. Use every cliche in sports in that explanation.
Bird in hand. Bird in hand. Okay. New Zealand minus 15.5 versus Argentina. I love the way you two just stare at. I just stare ahead
because you don't call on anybody.
You know the cadence. You go first, you gorilla. Go first, John.
Bob Barker wants his shirt back. Yeah, look, Argentina has one chance. That's that New Zealand misses the bus. They got a great front pack. They're going to beat these guys up front, but they can't overcome that New Zealand in New Zealand. New Zealand wants to get back to South Africa. That's what they want. They want to get back at their chance at being the number one team in the world. They're gonna dominate these guys at home, and I have a feeling they're going to beat the living hell out of them.
Okay, Gift.
Sometimes I feel for Argentina because it's like it's got to be hard being the worst, best team in the world. And like just knowing that you can beat 90% of the world, but that last 10% is just impossible for you to do anything against. Because, you're going to New Zealand. Yeah, they're about to get boat raced. New Zealand is looking for revenge. They've had a horrible 2022, 2024, horrible 2023 against South Africa. Really, the 2020s have been bad for New Zealand versus South Africa. They want revenge. They're trying to be back, man. Second half of the decade, come back for it. So, anyway, the point is New Zealand's going to boat race Argentina at home because they'll die if they don't. I genuinely think that the crowd would actually kill them if they lost to Argentina at home.
That was like betting on the Russian soccer team when they were playing and coaching. When Putin was in the stand.
Exactly.
Like, these guys they act like they're playing for their lives. You think?
They know the KGB is just sitting right there. Same thing with New Zealand.
All right, I like New Zealand at home. I agree with both of you. Let's move on.
Great analysis.
Let's stay in New Zealand. Well, you poke holes in my analysis all the time, but I think
it's terrible.
I think it's going to be a track meet for New Zealand. I think Argentina maybe puts up 15 to 20 points, but I think New Zealand's going to score like 45. NPC kicks off. Who do you like? One pick, John.
Taranaki over Counties. I've been watching this for a long time, and no, I haven't. Is there really a team named Counties?
Gift.
I like Canterbury over Northland. Yeah, chocolate over the North. I just take it off of that. It's for non-playable character championship, whatever. It works.
Okay, I'm going with North Harbor versus Hawke's Bay. Hawke's Bay minus 4.5. I'm taking Hawke's Bay. Fellas, let's look back. Let's go back to May when we had our first ever TRO top 6 consensus team.
Worst name ever.
We all picked our top 6 teams, and then we weighted it on a point schedule, and we came out with what was our top 6 team. And at that point, we had Houston, Seattle, New England, San Diego, Chicago, and NOLA in that order. John, you had Houston, Seattle, San Diego, New England, Chicago, and NOLA. Gift, you had Houston, Chicago as your second team, Seattle, New England, San Diego, and NOLA. And then yours truly had Houston, Seattle, New England, San Diego, NOLA, and DC. Based on those picks and the teams that were in the MLR Championship, management has decided that I should be awarded because I had 9 points. John, you had 8 points, and Gift, you had 7 points. Do you guys want to say
be deducted
anything?
points for having DC on there?
Yeah, that's right, because you were at blatant suck up. Blatant
He
suck
made the
up.
playoffs.
We called it at the time.
Second
That's not
place
the reason
team,
you
Seattle
chose him.
Seawolves won.
You chose him because you're a suck up.
You have anything you want to say in your concession speeches?
Yeah, I do. The 20 people that watch this show, and that may be like 5 people watch it 4 times each, have just turned us off.
Let's take a quick break. We'll come back with the NRL, our picks of the week, and get out of here right after this.
From New York City comes America's longest running and most popular rugby show. The biggest names in Major League Rugby, MLR highlights, and big match previews. Rugby Wrap-Up presents MLR Weekly, made in New York City.
Hey, U.S. fans, you can tune into every match live on Flow Rugby. How do we know that? Because we're on there all the time. And we're back. John, we're at the NRL. I know you love this. Who do you like in the NRL?
The Manly Sea Eagles.
Who else would you pick?
I just picked them. I don't know who else I'd pick.
No,
why would
why
would you ask who else would I pick? I just picked them.
You don't pick anybody else ever.
Then why would you say who else would I pick? I don't pick anybody else. I picked the Manly Sea Eagles.
Gift.
I look for the Broncos to cover the spread versus the Cowboys because the Broncos were in the championship last year, and even if they're struggling, they're trying to end this year off strong. So Broncos.
Bam!
Boom.
Bam! Broncos.
Bam! I like the Knights over
NPC.
I like the Knights over the West Tigers. Picks of the week, John, your favorite part of the show. Who's your pick of the week, Johnny?
Where did that voice come from? That's
Come on, Johnny.
it looked like your real voice is bad enough.
What do you say, John?
I got the over in New Zealand and Argentina. Look, Argentina, I'm with the king on this. Argentina's a good, solid side. They're playing good, tough rugby. They just can't match up with the top 2 to 4 teams in the world, New Zealand being one of them. To match up with them, they're going to have to score because I think New Zealand's going to score. So I think I got a high scoring game because Argentina is going to try to keep up. I don't think they'll be able to, but give me the over.
Gift.
Hey, I'm looking at a combined 60 points out of the Australia-South Africa game. Really look for Australia to get it in the first half, really do well, but South Africa's about to boat race them in the back end. And by first half, I mean like two scores. They get in the first half, and then
those backs of South
Africa, it's too fast.
Ridiculous how good they are. They
Too
are
fast, too
they're
athletic.
unbelievable.
I'm going to go with South Africa covering that spread against Australia by at least 10 points, if not more. And on that note, we're out of time. I want to thank John Bradshaw, Layfield, the WWE Hall of Famer turned rugby advocate, King Gift Egbelu, the inventor of words, Irish rugby legend George Hook, and Steve the Lizard Lewis. And thank you for tuning in. Please check out our other shows, including MLR Weekly. Hit that subscribe button on YouTube. Sign up for our weekly newsletter. And please join our American Red Cross blood donor team.